To kick off today's programme, we are bringing together TAPA EMEA's regional leads for a discussion on cargo security risks across their respective countries and regions, and the work being done to support local members. This panel will provide insights into regional challenges, emerging trends, and the initiatives helping to drive TAPA EMEA's membership, development, and growth across the EMEA region. So please join me in giving a very warm welcome to our panelists. Agnieszka Wojnowska from Poland. From Italy, Dario Novella. Do all come on up, thank you. From Portugal, Spain, and Africa, Felipe de Almeida. Harry Hughes from the UK. Lionel Popper representing Eastern Europe. And from South Africa, Peter Smith. And as a reminder, I do have the app up here with me, so if you want to put any questions in, this is a fantastic opportunity if you're doing business in any of these countries to get a bit more local insight. I wonder if we could start, and we'll start with you, Agnieszka, as you're sitting closest to me. I'd like to come down the panel very briefly to you all, and perhaps you could just introduce yourselves. You've obviously all got day jobs outside your TAPA role, so you could tell us a bit about that, and just highlight the main crime trends and any new or emerging threats to supply chains in your country. Agnieszka.
Hello, everyone. My name is Agnieszka Wojnowska. I work for Tronic. It's like a technology provider for the transport companies. I was also organizing the local conference in Poland, so I'm very glad that I could be a part together, organized it with TAPA. About the situation in Poland, of course, we see that the numbers of incidents, crime incidents, are growing very fast, like in countries like here, like in Italy, Spain, Africa, Romania, and UK. So, of course, we have, like we talked yesterday, the crime incidents are different types. So, of course, nothing new in Poland is still the same. And unfortunately, because of the number of incidents are growing, so we are also one of the top of the 6 countries, like our guests here too. So unfortunately, this is growing very fast. And the problem is that we can see that many years ago, there were more physical crime incidents. Right now, we see more cyber. So we see more phishing, more fake careers. So unfortunately, what I see from the technology company, that we need to focus more on the trainings for people who are working in the office, because this is where unfortunately, the crime story starts. And what else I can say about the crime incidents in Poland? That unfortunately, the future belongs to the cybersecurity and to the cyber incidents. So that's why the future brings that we need to build a more awareness about the situation, what's going on. So that's why we need to follow all the media news. And I'm very glad that you are also the part of this, that you are writing a lot about the security situation overall, in general, in European Union and in the world, because it's so important to educate people and to build awareness.
Agnieszka, thank you. Dario.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Paul. My name is Dario Novella, and I'm the head of security and operational resilience for DHL, Global Forwarding Italy. And what about trends in Italy? We know that we are close to a war inside, thinking about organized cargo crime. And we can deploy all the modus operandi existing in the world in our country, so that we have to get the 360 situation on that. We are every day fighting in all the needed direction, but the emerging threats are coming from mainly on tracking companies and truck attacks and the Romanian role and moving cargo from all the lanes that we are generating those. So that transportation is the main focus at the moment in the targeting or cargo crime in Italy.
Thank you, Dario. Felipe.
Well, Felipe de Almeida. I work for Rangel Logistics Solutions as Corporate Security and Business Resilience Manager across Portugal and 8 other countries, mostly in Africa. And regarding what the cargo crime seen in the regions, basically, as Dario and Agnieszka already commented, I'm sure my colleagues will also agree, escalation. totally. The last few years, we're seeing a brutal escalation with different modus operandi, of course. Each scenario has its particulars, and I'll go into the later more depth. But we are seeing a strong escalation, either for lack of parkings, the type of assault, but we need all the community to get together. We need to get protected because the criminals are doing it. They are more logistically advanced sometimes than the actual logistic companies. So that's the message.
Philippe, thank you. Harry.
Hi, I'm Harry Hughes. I'm the Managing Director of FET Logistics based at Heathrow, a family-run business specialising in pharmaceutical and high value. Emerging trends in the UK, well, it's nothing new really. The biggest modus operandi we have is curtain slashing from insecure parking. We've got a massive lack of insecure parking in the UK. We don't have any PSR certified sites, which I'm working to try and align some standards with the British Parking Association. We're also seeing the rollover theft again, as Dario said. That's been emerging in the UK quite recently. I think that in the UK that the actual figures have dropped, the number of thefts has dropped, but the value remains high, which points to it being serious and organised crime. The thieves know what they're targeting, and the curtain slashings, they're travelling up to 4 hours to target certain vehicles with certain curtains.
Thank you, Harry. You know.
All right, so my name is Ionel Popa. I'm Romanian. And I'm here, so you have the chance now to shoot at me. That's the deal I have with Torsten, so you have to be on stage to take all those questions that nobody wants to answer to. Okay, so discussing about, I'm dealing with the Eastern European part when it comes to TAPA, and I also have my consultancy company, which is actually very much in line with what we are doing in general here, right? Securing what keeps the world moving. That's what we are doing in any single sense, every single day, and things like this. Now, coming back to Romania and the challenges related to Romania, we don't have time to discuss about that, right? I mean, Sam was like, to try to be as short as possible because there will be lots of questions and things like this. So I will let you ask the questions and I will try to do my best to answer to those questions, right?
Thanks, Ionel. And Peter.
Hi guys, my name is Peter Smets. I day-to-day oversee Vind and Global Track, based in Johannesburg, and we sometimes have discussion about which one is more violent, Italy or South Africa. I think I'm winning. One trend which is really recently emerged is that yes, we have all the theft and the hijackings and even the hijackings of warehouses, but more and more South Africa is becoming the gateway for drug movement into Europe, and we see a lot of instead of hijackings, we see more and more like South America, where shipments, containers, yellow equipment are being opened, drugs being put in to be shipped to Europe. So it's becoming an interesting concept where it's not only the stealing, it's actually also the smuggling that now people need to take into account. It's an interesting situation at the moment.
Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you, all of you, for those introductions. Now, aside from South Africa, Felipe, I'm going to come to you because we don't hear much about the rest of Africa. So I wanted to ask you to pick up on the points you started to make. How does the cargo crime situation differ between Iberia and Africa?
Well, simply put, in Iberia and in Europe in general, but in Iberia in particular, companies are fighting for their cargo. In Africa, drivers are fighting for their lives. That's the main point we have to make. It's a whole different level of violence, of intensity. In Iberia, we are focused because we don't have enough secure parking locations. In Africa, we don't have secure parking locations at all, or barely across the continent. And the second point, besides those main differences, it's we have information in Iberia. Spain has been ramping up. We have a very close connection with law enforcement agencies across Spain. Thanks to the working group, they are fantastic, and they've been helping from the community. In Africa, we have information about South Africa, and I've been working closely with Peter and with the data we have there, but the rest of the continent is still a black hole. Basically, we have zero information or very little information, and that's where our main issue resides. We need data.
So how and why do you believe TAPA needs stronger engagement from members with operations in Africa?
Precisely. We need the companies, our members that are there, that are in Africa, to help us connect with the law enforcement agencies locally, to help gather information from their connections so that we can start to understand, because we cannot protect what we cannot see. If we don't know what's happening, if we don't actually have evidence on this, it's our biggest tool to help present to the board our intelligence, our statistics, our information. But in Africa, there's no way we can sell it to get more means, more ways to protect our companies if we don't have data. So the message for everybody out there, if you have connection, if you are present in Africa, help us connect locally, help us have eyes on Africa and understand exactly how things are happening and what we need to do to protect each other.
Thank you, Philippe. Harry, let me come to you. Many companies still view security as a cost rather than an investment. How can we change that mindset?
So I think for me, it's not the cost of what it's going to cost you to put it in, it's what it's going to cost you if you haven't got it in. It's the standards are there to be used. All of the members here can self-certify to TSR level 3 or FSR C. In adopting them standards and taking them as the minimum, as the baseline, it's going to help prevent thefts along the lines. So many members in the UK who I speak to, they didn't know how to get onto the trainings. They didn't know. Now, it's quite simple, and that's what I'm there as the UK lead to help and guide, get new members in, and hopefully get them to take up the standards.
Dario, perhaps I could pick up on the organised crime point that you started to make. When it comes to organised cargo crime, nobody really does it better than the Italian OCGs. How effective are companies being in protecting themselves against such attacks?
I may say, sorry, usual. I may say that companies in Italy are more and more effective in trying to protect their assets and whatever related to supply chain security. This is not an opinion, of course, it's a fact. We got a lot of evidences, we got a lot of more FSR certification. Finally, we got at least one PSR certification in Italy. We were without certified parking areas in Italy. And of course, we as a team have been many times requested by companies in order to perform security awareness and gather them information and support them also in approaching the TAPA world, the TAPA membership, and the path for certifications in order to rise up their defenses and whatever they can put in place to protect their assets.
So do you see a correlation between that uptake of certifications and the effectiveness of...
Of course, yeah. It's not only in the data, because if we see TIS reports, we got finally a positive trend since Italy has got out from the top 5 in these months and got ranked at the 6th position. That's honestly a little bit of a success. It's not only coming from a lack of communication of incidents reporting or whatever. It's not just like that. It's a trend. We are experiencing that and we're touching that. Obviously, I'm saying this knocking on wood as usual. Otherwise, next month could be a mess. We know that, but that's it.
Thank you, Dario. Peter, let me come over to you. What would you say is the biggest misconception that international supply chain professionals have about cargo security risks in South Africa?
Philip alluded to it earlier. I think the drivers are fighting for their lives. And what that really practically means is that things that might work in in the more established Western Europe region do not work as well in sub-Saharan Africa, in South Africa, and all the regions around it. So the information sharing on how to battle that becomes critical, and there are some. I'll give an example. We see that fuel theft is prevailing, but one of the things that worked extremely well was drivers who didn't steal fuel, is not to give them more money, but actually to give them food or supermarket vouchers. And one of our companies we work with started using that. And funny enough, what they saw is that they had another pair of eyes keeping the driver and keeping the company safe, and that was the wife. Because as soon as there were no food vouchers, the question was asked, you clearly stole diesel, what did you do with the money? So there are some interesting nuances, but I truly believe information sharing will help to make the drivers and your cargo much safer.
And what are the biggest mistakes, would you say, Peter, that logistics providers are making in trying to secure their supply chains in South Africa?
I think the real misconception is that maybe South Africa and Africa is technologically behind. I almost want to say it's ahead. Funny enough, vehicle tracking, for example, has been around since the mid-90s. It's compulsory for any vehicle over 50,000 euros, which also means that the criminals have really become adept at technical means of getting to your cargo. So where a simple form might work in the Netherlands, where I'm originally from, that might require a lot more technical implementation in Southern Africa.
Agnieszka, thank you, Peter. Agnieszka, let me come to you because you mentioned in your introduction that TAPA EMEA hosted a highly successful Polish regional conference in Warsaw. And it also, I know, attracted a lot of non-member companies. So what was the main feedback that you got from the event? And what do you see as the next steps to grow TAPA membership and certifications?
Yes, I think in general feedback was very positive, of course. But what we observed, that I'm very happy that the non-member companies who were invited to that conference, they're so open and their awareness is growing about the security journey. Unfortunately, for the moment, we observe that security becomes sexy word that everyone is talking about, but there's like, in general, we will look for this definition, security in transport, for a really long time, because there are so many factors that are connected together. So that means that we still are looking for what is the, like a basic definition of this. And before I came here, I did a survey with one of the TSL portals in Poland, because I was very curious, what is the gap and how big is the gap between searching and looking and understanding security from the driver point of view and from the transport point of view, transport companies. And of course, the gap is huge. Unfortunately, the drivers, they are feeling alone during their trip when they are traveling with the cargo, because they are having like a feeling that every day they have some situations that they are so very, very dangerous for themselves. And unfortunately, the transport company, they don't look for this problem. They are trying to hide this problem. And that's why I'm very happy that TAPA is like, everyone here is TAPAized, because we really need to show the standards. We really need to show what TAPA means. And the standards are very important, especially in the companies, to understand that no matter what kind of technology advance we are going to have, if we don't have procedures and standards in the company, that won't work.
Now, let me come to you. You regularly engage with companies of all sizes, small, medium and large. What are their main expectations, would you say, from TAPA, and how can TAPA better support their needs?
First of all, I think we don't realize entirely how important TAPA is becoming these days. we have so many engagements, so many conferences, so many articles, so many interviews in the region. There is a huge demand these days, and it's definitely increasing. The interest in our space, especially from the Eastern Europe, right? Because Eastern Europe is one of those regions which is providing lots of problems. It's a source of several problems in Europe. We know that. But in the meantime, all these companies, small, medium, large-size companies, they're not all bad people. And in many cases, when you say Romania modus operandi and so on, that's associated with the entire community, with the entire market, right? And that's something that we are seeing them coming over under the TAPA flag and saying, guys, let's put the things together, let's show the world that we are not like that, right? So if we talk about Romanian, for example, trust me, as a Romanian, you don't hate those guys more than we do, right? Now, leaving aside the emotional side, part of the story, I think we have a huge responsibility as TAPA to stay close to those guys, to those companies. We can make the difference between their survival in the future. I don't know if you realize that, but there are companies that are just disappearing after one incident and so on, right? So they really hope that we are guiding them through these difficult times, through these crazy times with incidents, with killed drivers, with stolen trucks, with burned trailers and things like this. It's unbelievable what is happening, and we are the hope. I really hope that from my answer, the takeaway will be like, we are the hope. If we are, I don't know, if we are not understanding this, and if we are not addressing this, if we are not taking this back in our companies, in our markets and so on, we may lose those guys. And it is our responsibility in a way.
I've got suddenly a big rush of questions coming in on the app, so let me try and read them and go through them. Felipe, quick one for you. How do you manage cargo security when there are no safe parking areas or secure roads in Africa? Do companies use convoys much?
Yes, we use convoys. We use armed escorts with armed security guards, and the only way we have to protect our cargo is precisely finding some locations, although not certified. It's a mirage over there, but the only way is to group together several, even sometimes with competitors. It's us against them. We have to group together 10 trucks, 12 trucks, sometimes 20 trucks in a convoy with several armed vehicles in the middle in order to protect all the cargo. If one truck stays behind, part of the convoy has to stay behind.
Thank you. I've got a question to all, but I wonder if, Harry, you might be able to pick it up, but where is it gone? What are your takeaways from working with more automated supply chains, such as North Europe, compared to more traditional manual handling? Something you can...
I think today everything's connected via EDI or API, and it makes life a lot easier for the freight forwarders or the manufacturers to be able to push the jobs through. But it also exposes weaknesses in the supply chain through cyber. If there's any cyber weaknesses, that API and EDI link can be manipulated to the thieves or OCG's sort of benefits.
Thank you. Agnieszka, one for you. In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge to address regarding transport security in Poland?
Well, I would say for sure for the moment, fake careers, this is the main problem that we need to deal with. What else? Of course, like I mentioned in the beginning, the cyber attacks, which is phishing, scamming. Unfortunately, we need to become more aware about what kind of emails do we receive. So this is the thing that we need to focus on. And what else? I think everyone would say that maybe there's like a new trend, is like a ID phone spoofing, like this is something new and it's gonna be growing and increasing very much. And what else I would say? Maybe, let me think. It's because there's so many. Infrastructure, I think. I would say that infrastructure, because most of the crime groups, they are well educated. Why is that? Because they were all working for the transport companies, so they know what's not working, which is communication. So I think this is the main problem that we need to deal with, and we need to be aware.
Thank you. We've had a question. I don't know if anybody wants to, or who would like to answer this. If there's been any impact from the Iran conflict that's being seen on supply chain security. Would anyone want to pick that up? Harry?
I think in the UK, the main impact is diesel theft. It's liquid gold, they call it in the UK now, because the price of fuel. We heard yesterday was 1.8 euros in the UK. On the motorway services, it was tipping £2 a litre. We've also had NAVSIS report of an OCG coming over from France into the UK with a truck specially equipped to take diesel out. Yeah, they're coming into the UK to steal diesel.
Let me...
Can I
yes, please, Yanel, sorry.
I would like also to look a bit of the bigger picture, right? What happens in Iran these days is actually part of the bigger picture when it comes to pest analysis, right? We have political, economical, social, and technological aspects that are influencing everything we are doing, right? The kind of incidents, the kind of situations like the Iran one, they are not, we are seeing this, they are not isolated anymore. They are part of our lives. Resilience, it's a daily activity. It's not anymore like a one-time, it's solved and then it's done. No. It's here. It's here. We have to live with it. We have to adapt to this kind of life. We have to adjust and be able, agile, and so on. So this is something, another thing, another Ukraine war, another, problems we have on our daily agenda. So we have to deal with it.
Thank you. Harry, can I come back to you just to talk a bit more about the role that TAPA can play in certain elements? What role should insurers, law enforcement, trade associations and industry bodies play in supporting cargo security, and how really can TAPA bring these groups together?
In the UK, there's a partnership started called the Script Partnership. It's actually been around for about 7 or 8 years now. It's got members such as Aviva, TT Club, Munich RE, Opel, who we heard from yesterday, NAVSIS. It's being headed up by DCC, Jane Meir, and they're bringing in industry. So I'm sitting on the Script Partnership, which is the Supply Chain Risk Industry Partnership is what it stands for. The RHA, Logistics UK, and a lot of the big industry bodies have started meeting with subcommittees to try and devise ways on how we can work together in collaboration to combat cargo crime. We've also got MP Rachel Taylor at the moment in the UK trying to put a bill through Parliament. Unfortunately, it didn't make its second reading, but that bill is a separate freight crime code, which is going to... We heard from Jim Taylor yesterday, once again, who said if your laptop's stolen off the seat of your car or if you've got 10 pallets of mobile phones stolen, it's all recorded in the same way. So Rachel Taylor's trying to push through a separate freight crime bill, which is going to combat that. She's part of the script as well, so it's an interesting time in the UK. I think there's a wheel in motion. In all the time I've been involved in TAPA, which is my whole logistics life, I haven't seen anything in the UK quite like this, so it's quite exciting times, to be honest.
Thank you. Agnieszka, again, just going back to referring to the conference that you had, the regional one, and I don't know if anyone else wants to chip in afterwards. From a regional perspective, how important is that local like conference, especially for TAPA EMEA to really connect with operators in other countries?
Well, I would say, like in Poland, Italy and Romania, for sure, we need the local language to use because I guess a lot of people, they're not feeling comfortable to speak in English. But I would mix it. I think we need to provide more English language. We need to provide especially the guests, special guests who can speak English fluently and comfortably. But for sure, what I wanted, like the main perspective of the local activities is important because besides the building awareness, we need to show TAPA is not only a paper. Especially that a lot of companies think that if they're going to provide the TAPA standard, that is fine, they don't have to do anything, and that is because this will open for them the doors to cooperate with other companies. That's why if anyone here, of course, is looking for the partners that are having the same values here, this is the great place because here are the people who are looking and having the same values together, looking for the security from the perspective security point of view. It's important to have the same values and look in the same way. And of course, if any Polish company here would like to join the regional group in Poland and would like to change some way of thinking of politics, of ministry and providing and promote more security in Poland, feel free to talk with me, and I would love to also cooperate with you.
Thank you. Harry.
Just to jump in on that, regional conferences. The UK's just secured a regional conference, so for any of the UK members there, 22nd of October, the Coventry Building Society Arena. It's a UK conference in collaboration with the RHA, the Road Haulage Association, and BIFA, which is the British International Freight Association. So there's going to be big industry there together. It's going to be a really exciting conference for the UK.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yanal.
Yeah. Totally agree with everything you said, guys, and it's very important. One of the things TAPA is providing is a general framework, right? Across the region, across the global, and so on. But the challenges are local. The guys, many of the guys attending these local conferences, they are like ex-drivers, now they owning 3 or 5 trucks and trailers and so on. How are we making sure that the message are reaching those guys? How are we making sure that they are getting not only the letter of the standard, but the spirit of the standard, right? What do we mean by having a driver background check and so on? So we need to explain those guys in plain language, local language. That's why it's important to, this strategy TAPA is approaching this lately, to go into the region, to go locally, to speak the local languages. It's sending the message through all the way to at the driver level, dispatcher level, and so on.
Thank you. Now, Philippe, did you want to?
Yeah, just say not only the conferences we are all organizing in our regions, but I have to give a word to the standards and training team. And the fact that we are now translating the standards, translating all the trainings, it's paramount, because those small transporters, all the community would not have access and would not use English training for all their drivers. So the effort that TAPA is investing in having all the information translated to each language, it's paramount on that part.
Thank you, Philippe. We're nearly at the end of the session. We've had loads of questions coming in. I can't get them to all of them. I am sorry, but I know you're all around over the next day and this evening, if you can find the bay that they're in for golfing tonight as well. I'm sure you can have a chat. But I wanted to finish with one last question to you, Yanal, but I suspect a few others might want to very quickly chip in. What is the one initiative that TAPA could implement, say, in the next 12 to 24 months that would really create the greatest value for members in your region? And if anybody else wants to add in very briefly.
I think we are making bold steps as an association. I think what is happening with the TAPatron and this kind of user friendliness, this is taking us to the next level, definitely. What we are having today here, it's amazing. You know, I've seen TAPA evolving for the last 20 years or so, and it's amazing. I'm almost crying when I'm thinking about those 50 people getting together in Warsaw or so on. Anyway, I think it's time, and this is a discussion I had with Torsten and I'm having with the guys, it's time to get closer and integrate into the businesses we are addressing, right? Things like TIS is fantastic. We have fabulous information, but it's very difficult to use by some of the people. And then we need to get closer. We need to get integrated, API, FTPs, and so on. We need to be open and use that gold mine we have, because it's a gold mine. If you plan a route from point A to point B, and you tell a dispatcher go in TIS and check for the data, he may do it or he may not, because he has pressure, he has 50 trucks, he has to dispatcher and so on, so he may not have the time. But if we are providing the engagement, integration with their systems and include our data in their TMSs and so on, find a way. I know TAPA is working with the guys, Torsten is working with the guys in finding a solution in this area. That will make their life so much easier and so much responsible. It's fantastic. So I can't wait to see what will happen next, because fantastic things are ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Yanal. And Philippe, in just
Yeah,
30
one
seconds.
thing I would like to say, TAPA is not just the executive team we have, we are all TAPA. And there's something we all can do. Get TAPA in your procurement teams. Get TAPA in your requirements. We need to escalate, and the only way we have to reach all those other companies, I'm talking in particular about Africa, but in all our regions, we need to put TAPA requirements in our tenders that we put out there. Even if you don't have operations across Africa, someone in your supply chain will reach there, and if we start getting the word out there, they will start to understand, hey, there's this thing, TAPA, what it is, and then we will be there to support.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. And as I said, they are around, so do try and catch up with them if you have any further questions. Thank you.